Hi, and thanks for joining us again for another episode of TACK Talk. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how we clean things and how it affects the sanitary nature of those individual pieces of equipment. It does matter. So oftentimes we worry about surface finishes on brand new pieces of equipment. But what we don't discuss is how is it that when we clean that equipment and the methods we use for cleaning that equipment, how does that affect the cleanability of that over time? Well, here's a good example. This is probably something that many of you have seen. It's very common in the food industry to have a piece like this that's cleaned out of place, meaning it's taken apart and it's cleaned somewhere else. Well, if we take a really close look at this, you can see this has a lot of damage. This is not damage that's happened while it's in process. This is damage that most likely has happened while it's being cleaned. Now, I've seen this happen before, where a piece like this gets thrown into a bucket or tossed into a tub. Maybe even because when it's in its own CIP system, it's not in a basket or a cage, and it's tumbling around or it's getting banged around with other things. The problem with this and these dents and these dings, you may say, well, it's superficial. But on the inside, it's creating surfaces that no longer are cleanable the way that this was originally designed. Here's another example. This is a rotor, obviously a product contact impeller off of an agitator. Again, this was originally designed to be a certain surface finish and be cleanable, but because of the way that it has been cleaned over time, it's been damaged, it's been nicked. There's surface imperfections on here that are not going to allow us to clean properly. One last example, and this is one I think is even more apparent. Now, the exterior of this has obviously been banged up. It's been probably shuffled around and banged against other pieces of stainless over time. But the surfaces of the ferrule faces here are very apparent that this has sustained damage. This is an important area because this is a product contact area. Even though there's a gasket here, product makes its way, migrates into this area and migrates out. And if this isn't cleanable, this is going to create a problem over time. Now you may say, well, it's cleaned out of place, obviously, so I really don't consider that to be an issue. But even with that, as this gets more and more damaged, it's going to create a larger and larger problem. Now, just something to be aware of is that when you're cleaning your parts, the way you clean them matters. If they're getting damaged during the cleaning process, in some regard, kind of negating the whole idea of trying to keep a sanitary and hygienic system. So just be aware of that. Be aware that there are ways to keep those products from being damaged, either cleaning them in place, or when they're cleaned out of place, use some sort of a fixturing system, whether it be baskets or a rack in your cabinet washer, something that keeps those in a place where they should be, cleans them properly, and keeps them from getting damaged so that they'll last as long as, quite frankly, they're intended to. Thanks for watching.